In the trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, Night City was said to have been voted the worst place to live in America for reasons like sky-high rate of violence and more people living below the poverty line than anywhere else. Now you would assume that in the city, where 99% of the population abuse cybernetic enhancements, that a big part of that violence would come from cyberpsychos, but that is not the case. In my 600 hours of playtime, I've only ever ran into about 18 cyberpsychos, which is far too little cyber or psycho. So I decided to turn every enemy in the game into a cyberpsycho and see if I can still beat it. By using the Randomizer 2077 mod's Enemies are Cyberpsycho feature, I can make it so that 100% of all enemies are now turned into random cyberpsychos. Well, it's actually more like 95% of enemies because of a few exceptions, but close enough, I guess. Also, since every enemy is now a cyberpsycho, I thought it only fitting that the person who takes them all down is the complete opposite. So the only rule for this run is that I'm not allowed to use any cyberware. I start off by choosing the very hard difficulty, making V the most beautiful man in the multiverse, and putting all the points I can into body and reflexes, because for the first time in my channel's short history, I actually have a very specific build in mind for this challenge. In the prologue, nobody cares. It's now time for the first mission of the game, and I'm excited to see how hard I'm gonna be crying on the floor covered in my own feces after completing it. For some reason, unknown to even myself, I thought it'd be a great idea to see if I could pull off this challenge using fists only. It took me about 20 seconds to realize just how bad of an idea that actually was, so I pulled out the default pistol, which almost functions as a deadly weapon, and started blasting. Spoiler alert, the pistol wasn't much better. I was still dealing the same damage as a Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro Model 60, which surprisingly is not a lot of damage. The worst part about these cyberpsychos wasn't even the fact that each one takes over 100 hits to kill, it was the fact that they can hack me through walls whenever they want, and all I could do about it is get into the fetal position to minimize the damage. Now you're probably wondering to yourself that surely it's not that bad. First of all, don't call me Shirley, and second of all, it is that bad, because I'm currently 45 minutes into a mission that usually takes about 5 to complete. At least the game is kind enough to give you unlimited ammo in the first mission. Well, that's what I assume anyways, since I can't see my ammo count in the bottom right. Never mind, I'm now out of ammo. Out of ammo and options, I went AFK for the next 10 minutes just listening to Jackie get his brains blown out in the next room, while questioning some of my life choices. Eventually, I had the genius idea to check the loot of the first cyberpsycho I killed, and what do you know, the guy had a spare gun. Now armed with a slightly less worse gun, it took me 10 more minutes of something worse than waterboarding to eventually find Sancho Dorset and rescue her from the evil jacuzzi. On the car ride back home, I came incredibly close to dying because, as it turns out, cyberpsychos do cyberpsycho level damage. Fortunately, they love driving into walls almost as much as I love following women at night to make sure they get home safe. The next day, I meet Jackie, who sends me to meet Dex, who wants to hire us for the job of a lifetime. What's the job, you say? Well, apparently the mega corporation known as Arasaka has created a cure for cyberpsychosis in the form of a biochip, and that biochip is hidden in Yorinobu Arasaka Suite on the top floor of Konpeki Plaza Hotel. Dexter Deshawn gives me 2 secondary jobs of acquiring a military combat bot called the Flathead from a vicious gang called the Mama's Boys. And after that, I'm to meet with Evelyn Parker to get the precise location of the biochip. Before meeting Jackie near the Mama's Boys gang hideout, it was time to acquire the first piece of my super secret special patented cyberpsycho killer build. The Fenrir SMG is obtained from a side mission that only shows up on the map during Act 2, but you can actually go there during Act 1 as well and start the mission. If you're wondering why the Fenrir SMG, it's because not only does it deal electrical damage, it also has a chance of applying the cyberware malfunction quick hack on hit, which is obviously pretty good against cyberpsychos. In this mission, a cybernetically assaulted monk begs me to go save his captured brother from getting that same treatment. I didn't care about the brother, I just wanted the SMG, so naturally, I agreed to go save him. After failing a drift and ending up on Live Leak, I realized I may have made a promise that I could not keep. Not being too keen on having my personal space be violated by a giant metal fist, I made an executive decision: grab the iconic SMG and leave the poor guy behind to enjoy his slumber party. I made sure to let the monk know his brother was probably dead after my failed rescue, put my new SMG to the test, and finally met Jackie near the Mama's Boy's hideout. I'm not gonna waste any time and just admit that my usual approach of going on a killing spree didn't go very well. So I went back in time with an earlier quick save, got a small loan of 10,000 eddies from Meredith, and proceeded to go for a more diplomatic approach with the Mama's Boys. After picking up the Flathead, Militech's new Special Forces squad, consisting of only cyberpsychos, begins their assault on the building. Getting the Fenrir SMG may have cost an innocent man his life and turned his mourning brother into the Buddhist Batman, but I'll be the first to admit it was worth it. Now it still takes about 5 full mags to kill a single cyberpsycho, but just the fact I'm able to stun them for a few seconds with the quick hack ability is a game changer. Although having the SMG still didn't change the fact that a cyberpsycho with mantis blades could show up at any time and turn my body into a game of Fruit Ninja. It was a tough mission, but after making sure to get rid of the mantis blades wielding cyberpsychos first, I was able to freely focus my fire on the rest and escape the hideout with the Flathead. Now that we had the Flathead, the only thing left was to meet with Evelyn Parker, get the precise GPS coordinates of the biochip, and meet the gang at the afterlife to start the heist. Not much was said during the heist meeting. Not with words anyway, and one taxi ride later, we arrive at the Konpeki Plaza Hotel to steal the biochip. In case you're wondering what my cyberpsycho killer build looks like so far, it's pretty much just all healing and movement skills, but I will be investing in the SMG related skills very soon. After taking out the security systems and walking in the penthouse to get the biochip, Yorinobu starts showing some early signs of cyberpsychosis and takes out Saburo with some rough foreplay. It's time to complete the weapon selection for my cyberpsycho killer build by grabbing Saburo's butter knife and its XXL version from the AV on the roof. You may be wondering, why am I using 2 butter knives for my build that is supposedly a cyberpsycho's worst nightmare? Well, first of all, dueling against a katana-wielding cyberpsycho with a katana of your own is incredibly badass. And second, the katana and knife have a very powerful iconic ability, which works like this. If you throw the knife at an enemy, they start bleeding. If you follow that up with a katana, they hemorrhage, which makes their HP bar go down and my HP bar go up. Everybody wins, except them. The HP regeneration from this combo is no weak sauce either. The healing factor is just as good, if not better, as a normal healing item, while also lasting twice as long. And considering that a single cyberpsycho can make me lose consciousness faster than one of my Uncle Ricky's special potions, having a source of unlimited healing was a sound strategy. We eventually escape the hotel in our getaway vehicle, shoot some 2077 pigeons, and Jackie ends up dying, but not before slotting the cure for cyberpsychosis inside my skull. Back at the fixer's place, I went to go wash Jackie's blood off my face, but quickly realized that something felt a little off. I didn't think much of it until approximately 10 seconds later when I suffered a massive stroke and lost consciousness. As it turns out, the cure for cyberpsychosis actually has the complete opposite effect when used on a cyber-wireless man. I'm now playing as Johnny Silverhand, but weird. I don't actually remember it looking like this. Must have something to do with the stroke, I guess. Heaven didn't want me, and I was too pretty for hell, so I woke up back in the real world. I was immediately saved by my good friend Task Manager, shot some cyberpsychos in training, Task Manager forgot his driving lessons, and I woke up at Victor's clinic with a slight hangover. Victor says I only have 2 weeks left to live, which means there's no time to waste. I bust out of my hospital gown and get behind the wheel while still being heavily under the influence of morphine because it's time to acquire one final iconic weapon. The Headsman shotgun is a really powerful weapon which can be obtained from an NCPD scanner gig in the rich part of town. I technically don't need a 4th weapon, since you can only equip 3 at a time, but the idea just popped into my mind, and when I get something in my mind, god damn it, I get it done. Quite frankly, I'm surprised this mindset hasn't landed me in federal prison yet, but that's beside the point. There's about maybe 10 to 15 enemies in this NCPD scanner gig, all of them now being cyberpsychos, so it was no easy feat getting this shotgun. It wasn't hard, it wasn't easy, it was just an incredibly long process. And after about 20 minutes of curing cyberpsychosis with bullets, I realized the shotgun I'm looking for was nowhere to be seen. It turns out the shotgun is dropped by a specific NPC, but since that NPC was now a generic cyberpsycho instead, it wouldn't drop the shotgun. Dislike the video if you must, but I didn't feel like paying the price for my own stupidity, so I decided to give the shotgun's tier 1 variant to myself with mods. It was now time to track down Anders Hellman, the creator of the cure for cyberpsychosis, in the hopes that he may be able to take the biochip out of my skull. I spoke to Rogue at the Afterlife to get the location of Anders Hellman, recruited Pancake to help me on my mission, and we set up shop in Rocky Ridge to get Pancake her car back from the Raffens. It was time to put my newly acquired iconic shotgun to the test by blasting the shit out of some Raffens. I can confidently say, it failed. Yeah, I probably should have seen this coming. See, most cyberpsychos in this game are equipped with a Sandevistan, which means they can simply dodge the bullets. It's not that big of a problem when you're dumping a full 40-round SMG mag into them, since most of those bullets will connect. But when you're shooting a single projectile at the speed of a dead turtle that has a stick of dynamite up its ass, they're able to dodge the shot like 70% of the time. Nevertheless, I stuck with the shotgun because I cared about its feelings, and we eventually got Pancake her precious truck back. Now that Pancake's happy, she comes up with a clever 2-step plan to capture Anders Hellman. Step 1. Shoot the AV he's in down with an RPG. Step 2. Arrive at the location of the crashed AV. And Step 3. Bet you didn't see that coming. Total annihilation of every psycho made of cyber in my near vicinity. Hellman was not inside the AV, but actually hiding at a nearby gas station, so that was my next destination. Once I arrived near the gas station, a very kind individual donated his armored car to my cause, and thank God that he did, because my location was about to be swarmed by more cyberpsychos than I can count. At least 7. Their bullets took away my car's will to live almost immediately, so it was just little old me and over a dozen metal fists trying to go up my ass. This is where my super secret patented cyberpsycho killer build really started to shine. The insane HP regeneration provided by the iconic knife and katana combo nearly made me immortal. Add in an SMG with enough firepower to make a Mr. Stud XXL recede into your body and come out the back, and I was pretty much a cyberpsycho's worst nightmare. Before long, all the cyberpsychos plus one elderly man were dealt with, and I was able to capture Anders Hellman. I put him on my motorcycle, ignore the bloodbath in the background, and back at my hotel room, convinced him to give me the biochip's blueprints free of charge. Quick build update, I'm now leveling up the SMG skill tree and got some more healing skills. It's now time to find Evelyn Parker for reasons that I don't actually remember and probably never bothered to specify in this script. At Evelyn's workplace, I ran into a bit of a pickle when club policy stated I had to leave all my guns at the door, leaving me completely and utterly defenseless. Fortunately, cyberpsychos are still susceptible to getting their necks broken. Unfortunately, however, the NPC who holds the VIP pass is different, so he doesn't have it anymore. I tried sneaking my way up to the VIP floor anyways, but it didn't end very well when a gigantic metal man magically caught my scent and alerted the whole building. I had no other choice but to beeline straight to the manager's room, and by some grace of God, his cyberpsycho form was completely unable to use any attacks. After implanting my fist into his defenseless body over 100 times, I scoured his comp for intel on Evelyn and left clouds with my next destination being Finger's Clinic. At Finger's Clinic, I read his first and probably last attempt at messaging a woman, got Evelyn's location, went AFK to take a shit for the next 10 minutes, and finally arrived at the dodgy warehouse where Evelyn is being held hostage. I'm not usually very excited to do this mission, and especially not now when every enemy is a cyberpsycho, so I decided to go for a more sneaky approach. I was able to make it all the way downstairs without being seen, only to be stopped in my tracks by 2 guards, 2 cameras, and no Sandevistan to use as a crutch. The next 10 minutes were not very pleasant. The lack of cover in this tiny room, combined with a handful of the tankiest enemy type in the game, was a special kind of hell. It was about as enjoyable as having the ghost of Margaret Thatcher visit me at 3 AM and whisper naughty secrets in my earhole. Even with my build's massive HP regeneration and damage output, it was still very easy to get overwhelmed and even one-shotted if I was not careful. I eventually got fed up with getting nearly one-shotted since there's no cover anywhere in this mission, so I decided to just run past the rest of the enemies to find Evelyn Parker. I saved her from having to sleep in that uncomfortable looking position, brought her back home, and after invading her memories, learned that the voodoo boys may have a way of removing the biochip from my head. The biochip was slowly but surely beginning to make me question my sexuality, so there was no time to waste. Pacifica was my next destination. I eventually arrived at the local church in Pacifica, had a quick but productive mental breakdown.
You my contact? Someone finally gonna tell me about this job?
Got a job offer from Placide, and began making my way to the Grand Imperial Mall. The job was pretty simple. All I have to do is infiltrate the building and download some valuable Netwatch data for my good friend Placide. They beat the fuck out of me. Yeah, the job is not actually as simple as it initially seemed to be. See, the problem is that there are approximately 20 cyberpsychos standing between me and that data. Worse yet, I have 0 skills or cyberware that would help me sneak past them. Quite frankly, I'm not even sure if there's enough ammo pickups in this mission to be able to kill all the enemies guarding the Netwatch van. Fortunately, I don't have to. At some point, I accidentally turned the wrong corner and ended up running into the walking testosterone injection called Sasquatch. After introducing 400 submachine gun bullets to her vital organs, I was able to completely skip the Netwatch van and go straight to the source to get the data. Once the data was downloaded, the rest of the enemies in the building just despawned, and I returned to Placide to inform him of a job well done. After speaking to Rashid about the biochip, I entered cyberspace, played as Johnny Silverhand, but no enemies were cyberpsycho, so who cares? And back in the real world, Rashid revealed she never had any intention of helping me with the biochip. Bitch. All hope was not yet lost, however, because sometime later, I received a call from Task Manager. We meet up in Japantown for one final desperate attempt to save my life. The plan is to infiltrate an upcoming parade, kidnap the co-founder of the cure for cyberpsychosis, Hanako Arasaka, and kindly persuade her to remove the biochip from my skull. The first and second snipers weren't cyberpsychos for some reason, making them easy pickings, but the third guy on the footbridge, strangely, was the only cyberpsycho, which made him significantly harder pickings. After the snipers were taken care of, I unplugged Agent 47 and get attacked by Super Ninja Cyborg Man. There's not really much to say about Super Ninja Cyborg Man, except that he was quite possibly the easiest pickings of them all. Dodging his attacks isn't very hard if you know his moveset, and he frequently goes in his little invisible region mode, where he's as defenseless as Jeremy. You don't know who Jeremy is, but if you did, that joke would be funny. There is no Jeremy. One super ninja man was incapacitated. I hacked the CCTV cameras, Task Manager kidnaps Hanako, and I meet them at his Airbnb. After a short chat with Hanako, she agrees to help me get rid of the biochip, but only on the condition that I help her dethrone Yorinobu Arasaka from power. Before I could even respond, Yorinobu's Special Forces squad busts in the building and steals Hanako back. I went back to save Task Manager like always, and once again the sword and knife combo healing factor saves the day. 3 cyberpsychos, 1 Miss Universe 2077 winner, no cover anywhere at all, and there's absolutely no way I could have pulled this off if it wasn't for the practically unlimited healing I got from this build. After escaping the building with Task Manager, I meet him and Anders Hellman a short while later to go rescue Hanako Arasaka from Yorinobu's mansion. Not a single enemy in the compound was a cyberpsycho, which was a little bit of a letdown, but honestly, at this point of the run, I was just happy I didn't have to sweat my balls off to kill a single enemy. Once all the guards in the compound were taken care of, we freed Hanako, took her private jet to Arasaka HQ, and arrived at the Arasaka board meeting. Unfortunately, the meeting was cut short when Yorinobu's cyberpsychotic tendencies flared up again as he sends a hit squad to kill everyone. I was not gonna stand for that. I will stand for many things like keeping the Costco hot dog $1.50, but getting a hit squad sent on me is where I draw the line. After making my way to the top floor and eliminating these unfortunately non-cyberpsychotic individuals, it was time to face off against Mr. Cyberpsycho himself, Adam Smasher. If I'm being honest, Adam Smasher isn't really much harder than any other cyberpsycho in the game. Sure, in terms of HP, he's by far the tankiest of them all, but when it comes to dodging his attacks, it's pretty easy, even with no cyberware, especially in this massive arena that the game gives you. In the end, the king of cyberpsychos was nothing more than just a sentient toaster with legs, and much like my actual toaster, it too blew up when I threw a knife inside of it. Next, it was time to make Yorinobu resign, and I beat Cyberpunk 2077 when every enemy was a cyberpsycho.